Are we back online? Okay. All right, we're back. I've got 8:06. Okay, consent agenda. Everybody's had a chance to look at that. Is there anyone like to make a motion on that?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Okay,
I second.
we have a motion and a second by Council Lady Gillespie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Got one from Monty, so that's 4-0. All opposed, same. Okay, I guess we're down to.
Can we go to the administrative report? We kind of skipped over that. I don't have much on there, just for the record, though.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Just quickly, you got a lot of good information on your weekly beat and on your upcoming event, so please pay attention to those items. On a personnel report, I just want to let y'all know that we did hire a Joseph Trepanier part-time in the water department. So Chase wanted to give him a chance. He's been working for 1 week, and I think he's done a good job. So we'll just continue to monitor that and see where they end up. Your police department report, very thorough, which we've heard already most of that one. Then on your financial report, just reporting that we have greater expenses than we have revenues, and which is kind of typical this time of year, but we've had some really heavy expenses with the audit. We've been hit really hard with that one. The airport, which we'll get reimbursed for that. And then, of course, the TML expenses. So we have hit some pretty hard in some areas as well. So that's kind of why you're seeing those numbers. But anyway, just want to make you aware of that. If you have any questions or want to come by and discuss that in greater detail, I'll be glad to do that.
All right. You gave us police department numbers earlier, so we got that. We got that as well. Okay. Hopefully we're at action items. Number 7, we've already handled that one. We're at number 8. Discuss, consider, and take action concerning the transfer station fencing project. And Dr. Brazier, you want to talk about that, or I will?
We might tag team on that one, Lauren and I, but we did. We had, I thought, a great bid opening. We had some people actually showed up. We received 14 bids, received several others late, so we did not include those. So I think, really all we have is good quality companies, but the top 3 that I would consider or propose to the council considering, of course, is After Hours Fence. It was $17,158. And so we did have a little discrepancy between a 2-inch top rail and an 1 5/8. I did receive some calls from some contractors that were questioning the bid specs and said that the 1 5/8 is typically the standard, for commercial fencing. We had in the specs put the 2-inch. So anyway, I guess I'll take that responsibility. I said, well, then do the 1 5/8, which I shouldn't have. But anyway, the 2-inch is what's in the specs. Then After Hours Fence did spec the 2-inch top rail, and they had the lowest bid of $17,158. You had one local vendor, the Claw Contractors. It was $19,450. They did not specify which they used was the 1 5/8 or the 2 inches, but that would be Lee Lohman. They're the one that did the fence out in front. Did I thought a good job. And then the third one was this Lloyd Construction, which was $19,500, and they did bid the 1 5/8. And the contractor said there would be a big variation between the 1 5/8 and the 2 inches. So, anyway, y'all just need that information as you make your decision. Of course, if y'all approve whichever bid y'all approve, then we'll submit that. Lauren has been working on a grant for Nortex, and it's the same grant that's paid for our rolling floor, the tire project, as well as the previous fencing project. So we'll submit this so we can finish completing the transfer station fencing project. And then once she submits that, and then we get rewarded the grant, then we would initiate the contract that y'all have approved. So that's kind of the way it's going to roll. So all we're asking from y'all now is to determine which contractor you would like us to accept.
What'd you say about Lee on Was that a 2-inch top rail, or
Well,
I don't know?
Yeah, we don't know. He didn't specify, but we were told by another contractor that the fence that was built previously did not follow the same specs. So we had not go out there and confirm that. So
Yeah, I was there when they opened the bids, and we had 14, which is, I think we usually have 2 or 3, is normal, but, and that's the thing that came up that kind of concerned me was the bid calls for 2-inch top rail, and one of the contractors, and Monty, you probably familiar with this, but he's saying it makes a lot of difference. If you bid a 2-inch top rail, you're basically welding it. An 1.5 top rail is standard, industry standard. And that's what Lee Loman, that's what he put out there. Isn't that right?
well, that's what was this guy suggested.
That's what he said. Okay, I haven't looked at that.
This bid packet is the exact same bid packet we used for the front of the fence, except we didn't put gates in there, right? So the specifications required are the same as the previous one. If Lee did the bid on the last one, I'm assuming that he did it per specs. No one's complained about it, but I don't know that anyone's gone out there with a measuring tape to see if there's a 3/8 difference. So in the bid packet itself, when we do our bid sheet to come back, it just says, what's your bid amount? It does not say, what are your materials listings or whatever, because they bid the packet as given. So it's only in a few of these that they, for whatever reason, specified what materials they were going to use. But typically they're going to do the packet, or they're going to do the job as the packet requests. So Lee's bid is just the bid sheet with no direction, like he's bid several of our other projects. It's
Well,
just how much he would charge us.
Yeah. My main issue was, and one of the contractors did bring it up at the end of the meeting about bidding apples and apples, and it makes a difference. If he bid 2-inch and the guy at 17 bid 1.5 and didn't follow the bid sheet, that's what you
But
don't
the point
know.
thing to remember is, as I said before, that the lowest bid did bid per spec at the 2-inch. So there's not a rub there as far as that particular bid. So if y'all approve that bid, I think you'd be absolutely 100% fine. If you want to go with the league just because he's a local, it's going to cost you about $3,000. Of course, I think it's going to be all paid for by grant anyway. So it won't cost our taxpayers any more money, I don't believe. So
Well,
but we would just demand
$2,300. What the difference is? That's it.
between Lee and this. Which one is Lee?
The 19,500.
Okay.
They specifically said they were going to do 1.5 inches. So your lowest bid is 2 inches. Your second highest bid doesn't specify, just says that we'll do it per spec. But the third lowest bid says I will specifically use 1.5 inches, which is not what the bid packet had. So
what you're saying is, let's say we took the 17,158. As long as he does a 2-inch, as long as he does as per the bid sheet, there's no problem.
same with any of these people that did not, there's probably half of them didn't specify what materials they were going to use because they just bid it per the packet. So when you sign your sheet, you say, I will do the job as you requested me to at the amount of money that I said I would do it.
And like I say, Jeff, in talking to some people, I think they may have gotten the impression they could do 1.5 inches or something like that, but I don't know. Jeff,
Right, but the bottom line is, hypothetically, based on what the guy says, then if they bid at 5 1/8 inches, then they should be the cheaper bid. But
It
they
should be
weren't.
less.
So
Should be less.
So it's really a null and void conversation, in my opinion.
I get what you're saying. It's kind of becoming a little more clear to me, but I just didn't want to. I just want us to follow our own guidelines. Is what I'm going at here, and it's a council decision. And
But I also want you to know, as I reflect on that too, I wanted to make sure that we actually had some bids. And before we only had like 1 or 2 bids. So I thought, well, better off going, because if this is all they're going to bid, then that would be better off than having no bids at all. So I
Right.
was just trying to look out for the best interest of the city, but ended up because we had 14 bids, and that wasn't necessarily the right thing to say. So.
If somebody bids a 2-inch top rail, they need to put a 2-inch top rail in there. That's my point. If they're, instead of, because if I was bidding on this, and they got by with not following the bid sheet, I might raise a problem with it. Is all I'm saying. I just don't want us to have a problem.
The after hours fencing company, where they out of?
I think they're Chickasha, Oklahoma, or somewhere in Oklahoma. But a lot of these different fencing companies we talked to, so they're from Fort Worth. All over. And
Flower Mound, I think
Flower
one of
Mound, they said they just do work in this area.
But we can take any bid we want, right, on this?
Yes, sir.
$100% grant, or is it a?
We will make an application for 100%, but if we're at the end of the funding tunnel and there's only $15,000 left, that's all they'll award us. So we can ask for 20, but we might not get that just depending on what's available. Now, no one may make application but us because we have a 5-day window to get our application in and completed. And so other people are under the same time constraint that we are. We might not have hardly any applications. And so we may be the top one. So you never know.
Anybody, Bonnie, you got anything, or anybody want to comment or make a motion, or?
I like to stay local, but it's $2,300. But I don't. That's my opinion about it. But
if yeah, and this is just my suggestion, I think we need to state in there somewhere as per the bid packet. As per the bid packet. Yeah.
They have to sign a form that says they're entering into an agreement with us. And there's in that bid packet, it says that it has like an ethics kind of section in there where it says when you sign this, that you're going to do it as
Right.
you said
Well,
you're going to do it.
And
Well, I'm sure he's going to build it the same way he built the front one, right?
I would, if you go with claw, I'm assuming it's going to look exactly like the front one, which our bid specs are exactly the same from the front fence.
but he possibly didn't use a 2-inch top rail. That's what one of the
that's what I say,
contracts.
but either way, if you're going to go with it because he's local, you could still accept that, knowing it's 1 5/8. But I just want to add one additional thing: is that it might cost us a little bit more, but I do want to say that Mr. Nolan has done a lot of work for us, and if we upset him, make him mad, and then he decides, well, I'm not going to bid on anything anymore, I'm not going to do it, then it could possibly cost y'all a whole lot more than what you're going to pay him to do the fence. So something for y'all to consider.
Yeah, it's just a matter of fairness. I don't want him. I'm for him. If they're all things being equal, I'd prefer to use him than anybody on this list. But if I'm in business and I was invited to bid on this, and then you find out later that, well, he didn't use, I think 11 gauge chain link fencing is required, and he used 10, let's say. Well,
Then y'all could just accept that bid if that's what y'all want to do based on using the 2-inch.
yes,
And if he refuses to do that or doesn't want to do it for that price, then y'all would default into the other one.
Yeah.
So we could have a conversation with him.
He just needs to understand he's got to do it as per, he may not realize, if this welding is required, he may not realize that. And maybe he wouldn't have bid it as low, but he needs to understand that going in, I think. And it's also subject to is it subject to approval for this grant?
Yes, the project itself is, but I also think that was one gentleman's opinion at that meeting. I don't know enough about fencing to say one way or the other. I would say that Lee has a much better opinion on fencing than I do. So depending on whatever contractor you go with, you may just want to have that discussion with them. But I don't know that. I mean, it's been done for a year, and no one's gone out there with a ruler to see what that top rail size is. So there's no reason for us to think that he didn't do it correctly the first
Yeah,
time.
no, it's the way I understand it, that top cap, that 1 and 5 inch rail just goes through an opening in that top cap. And I don't think there's such a thing for a 2 inch.
I don't know
They,
that.
they do make an inch and 7/8 though, and it could be an inch and 7/8 that
That Lee used out there.
Yeah, which I mean, that's an 1/8 inch off 2 inch. It's
Yeah.
not.
Anyway, I think that should be made clear to him, if we go that way. Anyway, anybody want to make a motion? We've talked about it plenty. Monty, anything you want to add?
No, I'll make a motion that we, it said, I'll give the bid to, is it Claw?
Claw.
Construction? For the, 19,500, as per the specs.
It's
19
450.
Yeah, 19,450 was the bid.
Oh, okay, not 19,450.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Glass to accept Claw Contractors, 19,450 as per the bid sheet. And we do have a second.
I second.
We have a second from Council Lady Gillespie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there's none. It's 4-0. Sorry to get bogged down in that, but I'm just that way, I guess. Number 9. Discuss, consider, and take action concerning the electric department F-550 truck bids. Do we have any?
Yes, we did get one from Bobby Morrow, but he was supposed to have talked to Mr. Joyce, our electric foreman, or David Malhouse, about some of the issues, or so he did put a bid in for 10,000. I did confirm today with John Joyce that when he was talking to the dealer, he felt like that they could get a $10,000 trade-in for that vehicle. So it's in line with what we would get it if we just trade that in. But I'm not 100% sure that Bobby will actually want the truck, once he learns everything there is to know about it. And, but he may have some skill sets and some things, to make that work for him and for his business. So, matter of fact, he's texting me right now. Oh, and he said that he's all good. So,
How much did you say?
$10,000.
10,000. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do we do at this point? Do we need something in writing from Mr. Morrow or?
Well, y'all just approved the bid,
Okay.
and he just texted me and he said he's all good. So,
Okay.
So if y'all
All right.
give him that bid,
Well, I'll
then
make a motion. We accept this $10,000 bid.
I second it.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Take your pick from Glass or Gillespie. Which one did you take? Okay. Gillespie, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And I guess we sold that truck. Or an agreement to sell. Number 10, discuss, consider, and take action concerning the proposed employee flex week schedule. And Dr. Brazier, you want to talk about that or?
yes,
bring that
we've
up?
been discussing this within the city for a number of months in our leadership meetings, and I didn't even have it on the agenda last month. And the team brought it up, and they would like to discuss this, or at least bring this forward to the council for consideration. And understand that our whole purpose and our reasoning for this is to for recruitment and retention, and so and to build morale and a positive culture within the city, or improve the culture within the city. So I asked each one of them to propose this, what they would like to bring forward to the council. And so the electric department said that they would like to see the 4 10-hour work days, but would not mind the 4 9.5-hour work days. And so, and 4 hours on Friday. City Hall, they said they like to do the 9-hour work days and 1/2 day on Friday, which would follow what was going on with the ISD. And then Salt Fork said that this really would not work for them. They said there might be certain times of the year that they could do that for a week or two, or just depends on the circumstances. The street department said the same thing. They feel like that the regular traditional work day was best for them, but there might be some times in the summer when they're doing asphalt projects or, something like that, that would need, longer time periods that was something they would like to look at. And then the water department was a little more innovative in their approach. And they said they'd like for the council, to look at, working Monday through Thursday, 4 10s, no lunch, which actually Jason did some research and shows they can do that. And then the on-call individual would work 4 7s as well as do rounds Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is typically 4-hour rounds per day for a total of 12 hours. So I thought that was kind of interesting for them to look at that. So again, as we talked about this, we wanted to emphasize that our production and our customer service cannot be compromised. And they take that very, very seriously in those conversations. They put a lot of thought into it. And so their approach was, how can we do this to make sure we maintain at least the same level of production and same high quality of customer service that we provide, but at the same time, create that extra time for their staff to enjoy and meet their families and have that time off. So anyway, I just didn't want the council to misunderstand our intentions for bringing this to y'all. And I think that, we could minimally try this for 1 month, bring it back to council, see what feedback we get from our community. And then we can kind of go on a month basis until maybe everyone feels comfortable with that. But I can assure you, if the supervisors don't feel good about it, they'll pull the plug before you, because they're not going to jeopardize, again, customer service and production. I mean, that's something they take very seriously. So anyway, we thought we'd at least take it to y'all. Y'all can do with that whatever you all choose, and we're going to work hard either way. So
yeah, I think I talked to Dr. Brazier a little bit about this, but one time it was mentioned of, just trying it over a few months, and then it kind of like, well, just try it month to month and just see what the response was from the community, and will it work? Will it not work? Are there too many problems? That kind of thing. But the reverse of that is keep things as is, and not do any of this. And so anyway, it's something I noticed. Councilman Wynn put together some information, which is really pretty insightful. Man, I've lost it.
But also, I think it's important because I was just reading this letter, and I don't know if it was anonymous or whatever. But anyway, all these things were discussed over the course of this time. But it says that we must continue to provide city service 5 days a week simply because our citizens deserve it, and we still will provide service. If somebody has an issue or a problem on Friday, they're still going to get service. We're just not going to show up just like we would on a Saturday or a Sunday. So that was my whole point. We cannot allow our customer service to be compromised. And if it is, then, obviously that's not going to work. None of us are going to accept that.
Is there going to be any overtime on this deal? I mean, if you're not working Friday and you get called out, is that overtime?
Well, we did talk about that. That could possibly be an issue. So there are some issues that would have to be worked out. But I think that, if they're off on Friday and there's an emergency or a situation, then yeah, I mean,
It'd be just like a weekend.
yeah, just
Basically.
basically like a weekend. Yeah.
But you do got to take a 30 minutes lunch, right?
No. No. Chase did some research. I hadn't followed back up on that, but
I think you do. You go, all you can work 6 hours and you got to take lunch, at least a 30 minutes lunch.
from his research, he says that a state law says that Texas law doesn't require employees to provide meal or rest breaks for adult employees. The only break provision in Texas law that the employees are entitled to at least one 24-hour period every 7 days. Federal law says also doesn't require lunch or coffee breaks. However, the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, does require that employees receive paid rest breaks of 20 minutes or less and an unpaid meal break of at least 30 minutes if breaks are provided.
So I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I'm not talking bad about nobody, but I just don't see any of our employees working straight 10 hours without taking a break or taking a lunch break at all.
Yeah, and they said that we just got to eat as they went through. I mean, they did say that.
Then-
so, yeah.
You can work 9.5 hours a day then. You're gonna take a 30-minute break. In my book.
I think there's kind of a safety thing there. I know working at the post office that, it's like if you work 10 hours straight, you're fatigued and, you need at least 30 minutes I don't know if there's apparently no legal, requirement for that, but just as my experience, I don't know. So we actually,
I got,
go ahead, Monty.
sorry about that, Mayor.
You bet.
No, this company I work for, I don't think they would give us a 15-minute break in the morning, a 30-minute lunch, or a 15-minute break in the afternoon if they didn't have to. This company is a very work-oriented company. I mean, it's work all the time, but they give us 15, 30, and 15, and I think it's because they have to. And I go back with Land. I think it's a safety issue.
Yeah, that I know with post office, it was 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, so, not,
Well, that was, I think, just the water department. I think that had stated that. So, but
I got you.
But if the water
Well, the only
department,
other
go ahead.
No, the only other opinion I've got is, and I think we've talked about this before, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't remember. But my opinion is if one department works 10 hours, then everybody needs to. I don't think one department needs to work 10 hours or 9.5 hours. Another department work 8 hours. I think everybody needs to be the exact same.
Well, I think they're choosing which ones they want to do though.
because every department is unique in some ways, and so I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. And I'm good either way, to be honest with you. I've just taken this to y'all because I think that some of the employees see the value in it, and having more time off with families. And again, I want my employees to be happy and high morale and positive culture. So that's why I'm going to bat for them on this. But anyway, I do think that every department has unique roles and jobs and responsibilities, and can utilize their time effectively better one way. Depends on their crew, and so try to put everybody in one box don't necessarily, to me, doesn't make sense. So, but
For our group, we didn't want to do Fridays off. It didn't just make sense for us as far as being able to do customer service and take care of what we needed to do. So, but we liked the idea of getting off early on Friday because most of us have kids or grandkids that we could be tending to. And so when we looked at it and said, do we want to work 4 10-hour days, or do we want to come to work on, we'd much rather come to work on Friday than not come to work on Friday. Like, we'd rather work all day Friday or half a day Friday, but we don't ever want to not work Friday. Does that make sense? Because it didn't feel right with the work that we had to do. And so that was for my group when we looked at it.
and also we thought, well, the feedback I got from the city hall staff was that they thought that would be actually an asset to our community because they would open before the workday, 8 o'clock. So they would open at 7, and then the workday would be extended till 6 or 5. Yeah, 5:30. So that would give people, because I know for some people that to get up there and do their business, they have to rush up there during lunch, and maybe they just have a 30-minute lunch, so they don't get a lunch because they got to come to City Hall and pay their bill, and that sort of thing. So we thought that actually might help our citizens. That's kind of the thinking.
It probably would in certain instances. You got to overcome. It's it's open 8 to 5 days a week. I mean, that's what the public is used to, I guess you might say.
We don't ever have mass incidences like where there's 25 people waiting on the steps of City Hall to get in at 7:45 to pay their bill, or 30 people rushing us at 4:55. We don't have 16 emergency shutoffs on a Friday at 3 o'clock very often. You know what I mean? We even turning on power. It's not that common to have more than one incident, even a day. Sometimes you don't have more than one a week. And so those incidences are just slighter than what you think. So yes, it would be nice to say that we were open 30 minutes before 8 o'clock so that people had the option to come in and pay their bill on their way to work. But at this time, we don't have people knocking down our door at 7:55 to get in and do that. They might if we were available.
Yeah, I started saying, because you're not open.
Because we're not open. Now we do have people that sometimes they get there a minute before we're about to shut down the door, and they need to pay their bill because they just got off work and it's a rush to get there. But we are open during lunch. We try to never close during lunch so that people have the opportunity to pay during that time as well.
Okay.
My only concern, well, not it ain't a concern, but it's just the public. To me, let's get the public's reaction before we do anything. I don't know if we can have a town hall on it. I don't, I've had a lot of people talk to me about this and just, they don't like it. So, that's,
Sometimes it's a lot harder to work 10-hour days than an 8-hour day. I mean, because you think about, I guess that's along the line what you say. Because, I mean, now this time, I'm so ready to leave at 4:30. 8 hours is what we have, and we get an hour lunch. And I'm so ready to leave by then. I don't think people will like it even if they tried it for a while. I could be wrong, but
Well, we don't have to do anything tonight. It's kind of, the subject has been brought up. And
but your golf course, I mean, the Salt Fork, they said they ain't no way they could do it, right? I mean, it'd be hard for them to do, right?
Todd said that they really didn't favor it for them personally because just of the role for their job. But he said there may be some times in the summer, that they might, it would benefit them. But that's what I was so impressed with.
It would be the wintertime.
I'm sorry?
The wintertime would benefit them.
No, it would not. Because there's not enough daylight, I think. For
What I'm saying is, the summertime, they usually work daylight to dark, usually on if they got a tournament coming up anyway.
Right, yeah.
But in wintertime, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's absolutely, yeah. But I just want to say, I was impressed with them because they, thought about those circumstances, I mean,
Which in the summertime out there for them, they try to start at daylight and quit faster instead of trying to work later. So, yeah.
well, the street department don't they start at 7?
well, they do in the summer, but they've now started back at 8 because he said it's so dark,
Yeah.
They really couldn't get going, until it's light enough for them to see. So they went back from 8, and the staff didn't really like it that much. They like coming at 7 so they get off earlier, which Ronnie understands. But they're all about productivity and doing their jobs and doing them well. And
But you said the street department was staying on 5 days too.
yes, yeah.
So street and
But
golf
he did say in the
course.
summer they were, like I said, doing chip and seal, or there might be certain circumstances where they could actually work some 10 days because just the nature of that job.
Well, yeah, that could be done anytime though. That's not a set schedule.
Correct. Yeah.
So City Hall would be shut if we did 4 10-hour days. City Hall would be shut all day Friday,
No.
or
No,
they'd be
half a day.
No, we would go till 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we would stay. So we would do like a 7:30, 5:30 and stagger that time out. And then we would close at 1 on Friday. I have another city that does this. Burke Burnett does this. They don't open at all on Friday for their administrative offices. That's what they chose. And but some of their staff departments do a 5-day work week, and some of them do a 4-10. And I asked Bert Cunningham, he's the city administrator over at not Burke Burnett, Bowie, thank you. And he said they all felt like they were a little bit more valued because they had a little bit more control over their time. The people in the office, mainly they were female staff that had family and kids, so they appreciated the time off because that with school and things like that. But one of the other things I posed to him, and he kind of said, just nodded his head too and laughed about it, that we were talking, that on Friday, if your office staff doesn't take those rando calls about, can someone come pick up my limbs today, or can it, little things, that doesn't stop it doesn't stop productivity of what they're doing. So you would only do emergency needs on that Friday. Otherwise, they learn to come in Monday through Thursday for those other deals, and it doesn't pull the staff off of what they're doing. So like for the street department, if they're going to decide that they're going to pave a street that day, they don't have to worry about the office calling and be like, I need to do 16 other things. But that's how Bowie is set up, because they're not working on Friday. So one of the questions in here is, do you have another city that's done this? Yes, we do know one that we could get the pros and cons from on as far as that goes.
All right. Interesting.
Do you want to have a public hearing? That's kind of the idea that I got from your comment.
So maybe if we had next councilman just had a public hearing on it, but I think the biggest thing here is we got to educate our community. People don't
Yes.
really like something they don't know, understand,
Yes.
what's going on and
Yes.
why, and the purpose, the intentions, and the
Yeah.
details have been, thought through and those
Yeah.
type of things. So, when I first heard it, I didn't like it either, but the more I thought about it, more we studied it, more we discussed it and talked about it, and I saw the benefits, not only for the employees, but then also maybe for the community.
Yeah.
Then I thought, oh, that makes sense.
The more we talk about it and more we consider it, the more, it kind of gets my brain going a little bit. And I like what Lan was saying. If on the next meeting, we put it on the agenda, for public comments, and, if people are really concerned about it, we can answer those questions, and just be transparent with them and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. And this is why we're not going to work 32 hours a week, and get paid for 40. And some people look at that and they go, good Lord, they're just going to work, it's like, no. There's 40 hours still being worked, 40 hours.
And the more I thought about it too, it makes sense that, hey, I get off a half a day on Friday, and so, I'm excited about that, or a full day on Friday. And so, morale and productivity increases, when people
Yes.
feel valued, supported, and they have that time, or they can plan a trip, and go out of town. And
It makes you feel better.
yeah,
But
Morale.
really on the community side, the office is what's going to be the difference, because they don't really deal with the water department directly or the street department directly. It's the city hall face of it, the customer side. And I feel like we can 100% still give everybody what they need, taking that half a Friday off. The only thing that we would not be able to do is turn on a new unit on a Friday afternoon. I think you just educate your public and tell them this is how it is. And it may take a little bit of time for people to learn, but
After 3:00, it's probably hard to turn one on anyway.
it is, because we have to call someone from the water department, pay them overtime to go do a turn on. So it's not a bad process to start, really, honestly, even now, because it would save you money not paying overtime to that department that's left already.
Okay.
Well, my main concern is the overtime, because I'm thinking Friday they're going to have, if they get called out, there's going to be more overtime that day, if they were already working that day.
And I could ask Bert Cunningham if their overtime has been, noticeable, because they're doing this. They're exactly like us. So they'll be able to say, yeah, we've had all these issues. They're just a little bit bigger than us.
Yeah, that'd be something I'd like to hear.
But, and as a, like Friday afternoon, somebody is like, hey, I need to get my water turned on, and it's 3:30. We're not calling anybody to work overtime on Friday afternoon to turn water on for somebody, I would assume.
We are now.
But don't we charge them for, I thought we
I mean,
did.
like a normal start my service.
No, because right now your regular service is 8 to 5. So
Yeah,
if you come in at 4:15 and you need water turned on, I call whoever's on call and they go turn that water on, and we pay them whatever that overtime amount is, because we, the city, offer services from 8 to 5. See what I'm saying? So if we didn't offer services from 8 to 5, we only offered it from 8 to 1, then we would not call out that person to go turn water on after hours, unless it was for emergency purposes or something.
But what if somebody came in at 12 o'clock and said, I need water turned on? Are you not gonna?
Yes, we will.
I mean,
As
that's what I'm
As
saying.
far as the city's offices being open, yes, we would, unless we were given the directive not to. If we don't do turn-ons on Friday, I guess. But right now with everybody working 8 to 5 or 7 to 4 water department, if someone comes in at 4:15, we're not charging the customer for the OT for the water guy to go turn the water on. It'd be after 5 o'clock if it was an emergency, turn back on after a repair or something.
And another way of thinking the overtime too, and I hadn't put any numbers to it as well, but I know looking at